Hey there, and welcome back. This is going to be a super relaxed, behind the scenes work session while I create some pins for a blog post that I just did. So, just a heads up, you might hear my kids or the dog in the background. It's hard to keep everybody quiet during these longer videos. So, I'll walk you through my process step by step so you can follow along or get ideas for your own workflow. And if you're just starting pinning, with Pinterest, make sure to grab my free guide, 15 things to do before you start pinning. It's really the perfect way to set yourself up for success before you dive into Pinterest. So I'm going to start with going to my tracker sheet here. And my blog post was on 70 affordable family Christmas gifts. So the first thing I'm going to do is find some keywords that I want to use for my pin titles and my text overlay. So I'm going to use Pin Inspector today. I've mentioned that in a previous video. Before I had Pin Inspector, I manually found keywords, and that works perfectly fine. I just started using Pin Inspector about a couple months ago, but I'll leave the link to the other way that I do keyword research that's free and effective that I used for over a year and a half. And I'll also leave a link to Pin Inspector if you just want a faster way to do it. So I'm going to type in family Christmas gifts. That's the general term that I'm looking for my keywords. And then Pin Inspector automatically generates all of these keywords. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. Okay, it's almost done. Okay, so now we have all the keywords, and I'm going to sort the rank from 1 to, we're starting with 1, so I get the one with the highest rank first. And I usually look at the ones that have like the first or second ranking, and I select all of those and I copy them to my spreadsheet. So copy those. And these are the ones that I'm going to consider for my pin titles. So some of them aren't going to really make very much sense, but I will go through these, and I'm going to pick 10 main keywords, which is what's going to appear on my Pinterest text overlay, and it's also going to appear in the first part of my pin title. So let's see here. So that would be a good one. So I usually highlight them in red once I see a good one that I like. Christmas gifts for family and friends. So far I have 3. We'll use unique, family gifts for Christmas. That's a good one. Top. Let me see how many I have so far. I'm just going to highlight them. And it says that I have 6 so far down here at the bottom. Let's see. So I need 4 more. So I'm just scrolling through here to see which ones sound good. See, 3 more. Okay, so I have my 10. So I'm going to highlight all of those in red, and then I'm going to copy them over here in my column for the main title. And I have this exact spreadsheet tracker that I use. I'll leave the link to that in the description. So I'm just copying all of those in. so that's the last one, I believe. Yes, I have 10. So now I'm going to look for my subtitles. So that's going to appear after I do like a little line, and then I put like a sub keyword after my title just to have more keyword exposure so my pins get circulated to more people depending on what they're searching for. So I'm going to find some other ones that may not sound as good, but they still work as keywords because they showed up as in Pin Inspector as being popular, and so I can just throw those in there. So let me find 10 of those. Okay, and then I usually put those in blue once I find the 10 that I want to use for my subtitle, my sub keyword. And then I do the same thing, I paste it over here in that column so I can keep track of everything. And then you'll see how I kind of meld these together in a second using a ChatGPT prompt. Okay, one more. Okay, now I'm going to go to my tab that has the ChatGPT prompts that I have customized and saved. This is also a part of my Pinterest starter bundle, so I'll again link that in the description if you're interested in this. So the first thing I want to do is find some good descriptor words to go in front of my keywords. So let me go into ChatGPT here. So I'm going to use that prompt and then use just one of my keywords here. Okay, so here are some options for what I can put in front of my keyword family Christmas gifts. So joyful, heartwarming, memorable. So you're going to want to choose one of these that sound good and go with whatever keyword that you're doing. So I like heartwarming. And then memorable is good. So I just copy and paste these over. And that one already has a word in front of it. It says cute, so I'm going to skip that one because I don't need to put anything else in front of the main keyword there. So memorable, meaningful is a good one. That one already has something in front of the main keyword unique, so I'll skip that one. So meaningful, creative is a good one. And this one has something in front of it, inexpensive. So I'll skip that. Creative we'll use there. Unique is a good one. And that has something in front of it too. Well, I may put a keyword or a descriptor word in front of there too. Let's see, budget friendly usually is a good one to do on Pinterest because people are budget conscious and want to save money, of course. So, okay, so now that I've put all of my descriptor words in front of my main keywords, I'm going to go back and I'm going to try to combine my main title and my subtitle using a customized ChatGPT prompt that I made up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And go back over here and copy my subtitles. And and this is 70, so I'm going to change that 25 to 70. And sometimes this works on the first try and sometimes it doesn't. You have to put some more prompts kind of in there and tell ChatGPT what you want. So it looks like it worked on the first time, and I like to kind of eyeball it and double check it because of course it's AI, so it does make mistakes. Let me see. Don't number or bullet the list. Okay. So you're just going to want to look and make sure that glance and make sure it makes sense and that it did it the way that you want to. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so this is where I usually keep all of the titles after I've gotten them, just to kind of keep track of what I'm doing. So the next thing that I'm going to do is, excuse me, I'm going to get my pen design started. So I've been working on a lot of Christmas content, as you can see here. So it's really good because I just copy and paste these exact pins that I did for the last Christmas blog post, and I just change the numbers and the pictures. So I'm gonna click these dots here and make a copy of the last one I did, and then I'm gonna rename it, my blog post name, go back over here, and then I'm gonna open up that. And the first thing I'm gonna do, you can see that this all says 30 because that's the number that my blog post was last time. It was 30 gifts for teachers. So I'm gonna hit Control F, and then I want it to find the number 30 and replace it with 70 because 70 is my new blog post number. So I'm gonna hit Replace All, and so now I don't have to go through and manually hit, change that 30 to a 70. So that's done. Then I'm gonna just go through and change all of the wording. So the first one is heartwarming, and I copy and paste all of these so that I don't have to type it in, and plus I'm a terrible speller, so I make a lot of mistakes if I just try to type it in. So heartwarming, and then all of that. I don't copy in after that little line. That is just for the title. So everything before the line is what I'm going to copy in. So just change that, and then you might have to, change the size, of course. And then I'm going to probably leave these accents and the colors just as they are because they look fine, but I will change out the picture. So I just click on Elements, and then Family Christmas is what I'll type. And then go to Photos, and then I'm going to start swapping out photos. So anything that would evoke a sense of a family Christmas gifts is what I'll use here. So it's a lot of times it's good to show faces if you can, but not all of my pins do. So that's a good one of a family. So that pin is done. Just make sure everything looks okay. I may make that picture a little bit bigger to fill in the white space. And then I'll go down to the second one. And this is, well, I'll take out the cute. Let me see what that word actually was. Oh, it was cute simple. So I'll just do cute here in the italics there, and maybe make it a little bit bigger, and then copy this in, okay, and then I will adjust that and maybe make the picture a little bit bigger, and I'll change this picture. I may put super cute in front of that just to fill out the line. Let's see. And that's a good picture. So then we'll go on to the third one. And the third one is memorable family Christmas gifts. So I'll just go in and copy that. And then copy this here. And I'll leave the link in the description where I videoed actually writing this blog post as well, so you can see how that went and my process on that. Let's see, that might be too, oh, that's good. Make this a little bit bigger and find another family Christmas. So that's a good one. I don't think I used that, yeah. So that's number 3. I may adjust this a little bit because it's getting in the way of the words. Okay, so now we'll go to number 4, and that's unique family Christmas gifts. So I just copy unique first. And I work with 2 monitors, so this usually goes a lot faster, but I have to keep everything on one screen so you guys can see everything. But if you have, 2 or 3 monitors, it makes things go a lot faster because you can pull things onto different screens. So, so unique family gifts for Christmas. Let's see. So I like this one, and then we'll move on to number 5, and we're about halfway done. So meaningful. That's number 5. Okay, let me move this one to the end. Okay, so let's start there. And then I'm going to highlight that. And make those words a little bit smaller. But you want to make it as big as possible while still not making it go over or anything like that, run into words or off the side or anything. And that meaningful is a little bit too big maybe, so I'll make that a little bit smaller. And this actually is a good image, so from the last blog post I did, so I'm not going to swipe that out. So I'm going to leave that there, and then I'm going to move on to number 6. And top. Okay. I'm going to ask ChatGPT if there's something I can put in front of top to kind of fill that out, because I just don't like how short that looks. It looks empty, so I'm going to do that real quick. So what can I put in front of top for pin text overlay? So let's see, so it gave me a few options. So I'm going to do must have. And then I'm going to put top there. And then I'll make the must have a little bit bigger. Okay. And then I think that looks good. So now I'm going to switch out the picture. Let's see, that's a good picture for family. Okay, so then that's number 6, and then I'm going to go to 7, inexpensive, which again is always a good thing to put on Pinterest. So, you know, that's something that will attract people if they know that it's going to be inexpensive, or, you know, help them save money in some way. So, let's see. So there's that unique at the end of that. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT, what can I put after unique to fill that out on my pin, because that doesn't really make sense by itself. So what can I put after unique for pin text overlay? And ChatGPT doesn't care if you have typos, or, you know, sometimes you don't even make complete sense, and it still kind of knows what you're talking about. So let's see. So maybe I'll do unique finds. So I can put that unique finds at the end. I have, let me see, like this one, for example. I'm going to just copy this design here and go up and put it here. May have to make that a little bit smaller. Okay. And then I'll put unique finds. And I'll try to fit that line in here, but it may not fit. Increase it a little bit. Takes a minute sometimes to adjust the spacing and everything to make it look right. Make that a little bit bigger. And then I'm just gonna go to position up here at the top and make sure all of that's centered. Hit center over here, hit center. Okay. So then I'm going to go back and find another good gift. Christmas gift picture. So that one might be okay, maybe not. Let's see. So now you get towards the end of this and there's not as many good options. So you can just maybe type in something general like Christmas and see. Or Christmas gifts. Oh, I like that one. Okay, so now we'll go to number 8, and that is creative. Whole family gifts for Christmas. So that picture actually works okay because it's Christmas gifts, so I'm going to just leave that one. And then go to number 9, budget friendly. make that smaller to all fit on one line. Copy that and paste it here. And actually that's a picture that's fine too, so that's from my last blog post and I'm just going to leave it. And then we have our last one, unique. So again, as you can see, I'm leaving most of these elements the same. I'm mostly just changing the words and then in some cases the pictures, but some of the pictures are fine to use, and if that's the case, you don't have to change them all. So that saves a lot of time. So then I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because I need to fit in under $25. That's another good one that would attract people to click on your pin. Let's see, make that a little bit smaller maybe. And make sure that's all centered. Okay, so now I'm done, and usually I push this little view button here so I can kind of see how these look from kind of farther away, and just making sure that I change everything, make sure that everything lines up okay. I might adjust this picture a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. Oops. There. Okay, and let's keep looking. Okay. Let me look at this one again. Just make that a little bit smaller maybe. You want it big enough to where people can read it, definitely, so I try to balance that. Let's see. Move this up a little bit. And again, I make sure that that's centered since I moved it. And then I'll zoom out and see if that looks a little bit better. Okay, so now I'm happy with those. So what I'm going to do is go to share and download and do it as PNG because that's the best quality that you could do, and download. And while that's downloading, I'm going to go back to my prompts, and I already have boards set up for this, but I do have a customized prompt that I made to set up board names and descriptions. But I'm going to get my descriptions and from ChatGPT, and I have that custom prompt set up for that. So all I have to do is fill in the keywords I want it to use, which are the ones that I got from Pen Inspector at the beginning. Like, I'm going to take out that one because it's not 2024. So let me go ahead and copy all those keywords. And so basically I'm asking ChatGPT to give me a description that includes at least 5 long tail keywords, which long tail keywords are keywords that have at least two words in it. So, and then I'm going to put my blog post, what it's on, because that will be helpful in ChatGPT writing the description. And then I'm going to put in the titles, which are over here. Okay, so now I'm going to hit that, and by now my download should be done. So I'm going to just click on that folder, and it popped up on my other screen. I'll pull it over. And then this is a zip file, so I don't know if everyone's computer does this, but mine does. It downloads to a zip file, and then I have to hit extract all to be able to do anything with it. So then I extract it, and it pulls up the file, and I'm going to rename the file name. The name of my blog post. because the file name is something else that Pinterest can read as well. So you want it to be keyword rich. So I'm going to change that. And I'm going to drag this over to my other screen because it'll just make it a lot easier when I'm dragging the pictures in to Pinterest. So now the description should be written for all 10 of my pins. So now I'm going to go to the Pinterest native scheduler, which this is free. So this is what I use. I used to use a different tool that was paid and it worked fine, but this is just a lot easier since it's all right in Pinterest. So I'm going to go to create pin. And I'm going to go back to my tracker here. I'm going to copy all those, and I have where I track all of my blogs. So here's the blog that I'm working on now, 70 affordable family Christmas gifts. And then I'm going to use these same boards as I did last time because they're all pertaining to Christmas. And then I do my blog posts, I do them every 3 days. So I'm going to, when I do 2 for one blog post, I do, 10 for one blog post, I do 3 every 3 days. So I have a prompt that helps me to just get that, how much every 3 days is without having to kind of calculate it on my own. So I'm going to put in today's date and then hit enter, and that should automatically give me every 3 days. And then I keep that on my tracker so that way I know not to pin so often. I know exactly when I pin something and when I can go back and repin it. So I'm going to copy my URL from here, and that's my blog post website, and paste it in there. Let's try that again. I do that first because that is one of the most important things that you don't want to forget. So then I copy the first board name, and I go up to my boards and I paste it in, and then I go and paste in my title, and then I go and paste in my first description, which they're up here. And then the alt text, I use the blog post name, so I'm just going to use this, and I keep the alt text the same for all of them. And then I'm going to drag in my first image, and then publish at a later date, and that date is I'm going to publish it for today, 8/14, but for a later time. So I'll do 5 p.m. and I don't think the time really matters so much on Pinterest. So then that's it. You just make sure that you've got everything filled out, and then you're ready to duplicate and do the next one. So I hit these 3 dots up here, hit duplicate, and then you start changing everything else. So I usually highlight this so I can keep track of where I am. So the board name for the next one is this, so I just paste that in, and then I'm going to go back and do the title and change that. Then I'm going to change the description, which is here. And then I'm going to make sure and change my image. And then my date is the 17th. So I'm going to just choose a random time. And so then that second one's done. So I'm going to highlight that, and then I'm going to duplicate again. So get my next board name, and the title, and the description, and the image. And the date on that is the 20th. So I'm going to make sure and highlight that to know I'm done with it, and go down and change the date to the 20th, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. So find my board name, and oh, that was my board name. Let's see. Okay, so the board name, and then the title. So I'm going to highlight that. And then the description, then the image, and then the date is the 23rd. Okay, then I'm going to duplicate, grab the next board name, and the next title. I'll highlight that so I don't lose track of where I am. The next description, change the image, and then the date is the 26th. So, and it may seem early to pin Christmas content at this point, but you want to give Pinterest enough time to index your pin and distribute it before Christmas. So I usually start my Christmas content in July. So I'll grab this title, and then the next description, and then change the image, and then my next date is the 29th. Okay, copy the next one, we're almost done. Board name, title, and description, and image, and my date. Let's see, make sure I'm on the right one here. Fine. Yes, the date is the 1st, September 1st. Okay, then duplicate and find the board name, and the title, and the description. So we're on number 8 out of 10. And change the image, and then that date would be the 4th. Okay, and then duplicate, board name, and the title, and the description. Let's see, I don't think that changed it. There we go. And the image, and then the date would be the 7th, And then we're on our last one. So duplicate that. Grab the board name. And the title. And the description. Change out the image. And the date would be the 10th. And as you can see, that's about as far out as I can schedule these pins. It only lets you schedule a month in advance. So now I'm done, and I just like to go back and check and make sure that everything looks okay. So I scroll through, make sure that the board names are all different, because a lot of times if I'm in a hurry, I forget to change the board names, and you don't want to pin the same pin to the same board so close together with the same URL. So I make sure that that's updated, and then I make sure that the URL, it should automatically copy for each one, but I just like to double check, because that would be a bad thing to leave out, because it would, you know, someone would click the pin, it would lead to nowhere. So all the URLs are there. Let's see. Also, I make sure that the dates are all different. So I'll just scroll quickly through. Make sure I changed all the dates. And then the last thing I do is make sure that all of the images are different. So I'll look over here on in this corner, because you can kind of tell. So I'm going to scroll through, and I did change all my images. So the last thing I do is you hit this circle up here to check mark the first pin, and then instead of publishing each pin individually, you can hit select all at top, and then you just hit publish, this red publish, and it should publish all of them. It just takes a second, and then it will pull up a screen that shows a confirmation that everything was published or scheduled. So that's it. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you're walking away with ideas that you can start using right away in your pinning. And before you go, don't forget to grab my free guide, 15 things to do before you start pinning, so that your Pinterest account is set up for success from day one. And also, if you're ready for even faster growth with Pinterest, grab my Pinterest starter system. It has everything you need to create, schedule, and see results without spending hours glued to your screen like I did when I first started. So you'll find the links to all that stuff below. So thanks so much again, and I will see you all in the next video.